Hi, my name is Vicky.
And I'm Josie, and this week we're talking about superstitions. Every time I hear the word superstitions, my mind goes, very superstitious. You know that song?
I do. That's funny. I feel like whenever I think of superstitions, I automatically start thinking of like all the stuff that I like grew up doing and that I've
Yeah.
like brought into my habits today.
Ooh, like what are we talking about?
Like something that we just
Yeah.
mentioned, like knock on wood. Like if you say something and you jinx it, knock on wood. If you hit like one of your elbows on a surface, you have to like immediately rub both, just so like you don't get a surprise. Or like if a spider web like is created on your front door, that
Mm-hmm.
means you're getting like a visitor or something like that. Like all of those like little superstitions and
Yeah.
stuff that I grew up like believing. So whenever they happen, like now to me, I'm like, I either like fight the urge to do it or I end up doing it because I'm like, I don't want anything bad to happen or I don't want
Yeah.
I don't want to ignore it. So yeah.
I like that. I like that. I didn't grow up very like superstitious or like my family doing a lot of superstitious stuff, but I have encountered a lot of people who are very superstitious. I've had a lot of people get mad at me because I don't walk on their side of the pole. And it's
Yeah.
like,
That is something to get mad at over.
if you see me going in a direction, just follow me. You don't have to go in the opposite direction and be like, why'd you cross the pole?
That's also true. Like if I don't say anything, sometimes I just go on the other side of
Yeah.
the pole. And then other times I'm like so annoyed that I've told this person multiple times to like not split the poles that I'm like, you're getting bad luck. It's fine.
He said that too.
That's on you.
When I'm around like my friends who are superstitious, I try to be mindful of that. And I'm like, you know
Hmm.
what? If I just had to plop on over to your side, it's okay. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
Um, that's one that I do, and then the knock on wood. That is one that I do because I like
Mm.
asking a lot of hypothetical questions. I'm like, oh, what would you do if this happened? And then I'm always like, wait, I always have to find a piece of wood before I ask my question. I'm like, what would you do if
Mm.
your house burned down?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I do like that one. Like, you don't want to bring in like bad energies or anything like
But if you
that.
can't find wood, what do you do?
You knock on your head.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's so funny. And I think like one of the first times I did that to my fiance, because I don't think that he had heard of that before, he got so annoyed at me. Because I was like, if you can't find wood, then you knock on a dummy's head. So I knocked on his head. He didn't like that very much.
I think it's very funny. I
Yeah.
laughed.
It's funny. It's silly.
Yeah.
It's goofy.
Yeah. And then my mom also told me that if you have bad dreams, you have to share them with somebody. You have to tell somebody about your bad dreams. But I've
Hmm.
heard other people say that if you have bad dreams, you're not supposed to share it with anyone because then you're putting it out there. So I don't know.
Interesting. I've never heard that one
No.
before. I've always heard that like you have to like have your little dream catcher
Hmm.
to catch all of your bad dreams.
Yeah.
And I used to have a dream catcher. My grandma had given me this really purple, really pretty purple one. There you
Yeah.
go. That I had when I was younger, but I don't know where it went.
Oh.
So
Well, you know how every time I have a bad dream, I text you about it?
yes,
That's why.
okay, that's fair.
And part of it's because of that, and the second part is because I like when you analyze my dreams too.
I love analyzing dreams. It's so fun. I forgot I recently had like a weird dream and I could only remember it for like the first like 2 minutes that I was awake and then I forgot it. So I can't even remember what it was about. But it was really weird. And it
Mhm.
was like a bunch of like people that I knew from middle school that were in my dream.
Okay. Okay. I feel like I hope it doesn't feel like we're being off topic, but I do feel like dreams goes in with like superstitions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How much truth do you think dreams have?
I think that dreams are like so okay, there's two sides to
Okay.
dreams. Well, I grew up like with my grandmother and my mom saying that dreams were like basically like premonitions to the future.
Uh-huh.
And that like if you have a dream of X, Y, and Z, that means someone's pregnant. If you have a dream of this, this, and this, it means someone's gonna die. Um, but like as I get older, I think that they're more of like parts of your subconscious just coming alive when you're asleep
Hmm.
and like pulling into your dream.
Yeah.
And it might be more of like you having all the information that like you haven't heard from someone in a really long time. They weren't in very good health to begin with.
Yeah.
And then, like, they end up passing away soon rather than like your dream predicted that they died.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more like realism to it, but I still believe that like dreams have some truth in reality
Mm.
because it's all like the information that maybe your brain wasn't able to process while you were awake.
Mm, mm. I think I agree. I think it's like a little bit of both.
Okay.
Because there's been times where like I've stopped talking to people and then like a few months later I have a dream about them. Next day, not next thing, next day, they're messaging me, being like, hello.
That happens to me all the time. I joke all the time to my mom and my grandma that I'm a witch because I'll sit there,
She's a witch.
burn her. I will sit there and I'll be like thinking like I can't get someone out of my head. Like I'll just like randomly think about my cousin and then like I'll look down at my phone and like 15 minutes later she'll text me. Or I'll get like a call from my grandpa because like I've been sitting there and I'm like, wow, I'm just thinking of my grandpa so much today and they'll call me. Like that's why I'm just like, maybe I have a little something.
No, yeah, yeah. And so for that reason I do think it's a little bit of both. Clearly, yeah, like our subconscious does things.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up with my grandpa telling me that when you dream, it's like your spirit self like going out there into the world when you're actually doing these
Mm.
things and interacting with these people.
Do you okay, there's that, but then do you also think that it's maybe like a little bit of like the multiverse and like you're just dreaming of yourself in another universe?
Mm. I haven't thought about that. I shall ponder on that.
But yeah, I think all of this has a lot to
Yeah.
do with like superstitions and like believing in like the mystical.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a gateway to thinking that like vampires and mermaids are real. Do you think vampires and mermaids are real?
To an extent, not in the way that we see them as
Interesting.
is my to an extent.
Give me more.
um not that like not like your Dracula and not like your Little Mermaid, but to a being that has some sort of like mystic power that resembles that. I don't know what it looks like exactly, which is why I'm having trouble like phrasing and painting a picture for you. But I think these beings look very ordinary.
Okay.
Yeah. And they choose when they want to be perceived.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like to believe that like all type of like mystical beings exist.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. I like to think that there's fairies and everything and ghosts. You know, I saw something saying that ghosts can't be real because if they were real, then all of like the folks that like harmed people and caused all of those disgusting atrocities during slavery would have been like terrorized for the rest of their lives by all the ghosts of the enslaved people they murdered.
Well, you see, I feel like
And
ghosts
that's their evidence that ghosts aren't
are
real.
real. Who's this? That's not enough for me though. Because how would we know they're being tortured or not? You can't see a ghost. You can't hear a ghost.
That's true.
I don't know about that one. I don't know.
You're standing by that they're still real?
I'm standing by that they're real. Like ghosts and spirits being real. I grew up with being told that ghosts and spirits are real.
Same, yeah.
One time I had sleep paralysis. And I think I've told you the story too before. And my mom told me it's because you're laying down like a dead person. And there's and she said a demon tried to enter your body because you lay down like a dead person. I was like, and I didn't sleep for like a whole week after that.
That's a crazy thing to say to someone. What did that mean? Were you sleeping on your back?
Yeah, she told me not to sleep on your back and not to sleep with like your arms crossed or anything like that.
Were you sleeping with your arms crossed?
I don't know what happened.
Because now I'm gonna ask, why were you sleeping like a dead person? Because that's crazy to sleep like this.
Yeah, no, but I grew up with being told that spirits were real. Like all you know, like the pictures, and if you see like a little
Mm-hmm.
like speckles and stuff like that. That's a ghost. That's a spirit.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Or like when you get like a chill, that's like a spirit or a ghost like passing through you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That sleep paralysis being because of demons. Um, and then I think like in middle school, my cousin had some friends who would go over to her house, and she was like, "Yeah, there's a ghost in my house," because like they would always hear like the drawers closing and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I've always heard, and I do believe that ghosts and spirits will only bother you if you bother them or if you have like very like negative energy towards them
I
or like
feel
having a
that.
scared type of like energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. One time my dog, when I lived in Vegas, so my grandpa's brothers, his ashes are buried in the backyard, and my dog would go up to like that area, and he would be like, "Bark, bark, 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 bark."
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I do believe they are real.
You know what's interesting is that like every year around like Dia de los Muertos, we put up like our ofrenda and we like do everything and we like follow like all the rules that you're supposed to. And one year, one of my fiance's like family members had recently passed away, and we like put him on the ofrenda and everything. And he had told me that that family member wasn't like too crazy about dogs, but like didn't hate them or anything.
Yeah.
And we were walking down the hallway of our apartment, and we only had one dog at the time, and
Mm.
our dog like jumped like someone had pinched his butt. And we were like, "Oh my god, he's here!" And I think about that sometimes. I like believing that stuff like that exists and that,
Yeah.
like, I think it makes life more interesting and, like,
Yeah.
why not? That's, like, why it always, like, not makes me mad, but, like, it feels irrational to me when people get, like, irrationally upset about things like this and, like,
Yeah.
are very insistent that it's not real and, like, you have no proof. Because it's like, well, first of all, there's tons of evidence of people believing this. And second, like, why not? Like, what's wrong with believing?
How is that going to hurt you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And then I had right now that you brought up like death and tying it back to dreams, I did have a friend that passed away last year, and then at some point I ended up having a dream, and it was like a very like soothing dream because he like came into my dream, and it was like I remember we had like a whole conversation and all that too. And
Yeah.
when I talk to people about stuff like that, they've told me like similar experiences too. So I'm like, how can you not believe?
I completely believe
Yeah.
that. When I was younger, my uncle passed away and I was really close to him and I was really torn up about it. And then, like, I think like a couple weeks or maybe a month later, I had a dream that he came to me in like the kitchen and we sat down and we were just talking and he was telling me that it was going to be okay and was like asking me about school. I was like in fifth grade. And it just felt like a really nice like conversation. And like I was so worried about him like missing moments in my life
Yeah.
like as I got older. So it was nice like hearing him in the dream tell me that he was like gonna be there and he was watching me and stuff like that. And then when I told like my grandma, because I was
Yeah.
her son, like she got kind of emotional and it was really nice. And like
Yeah.
I I like it when like stuff like that happens because even if it is in like your subconscious, like it's really soothing for that person because
Yeah.
something like really traumatic just happened.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking about the good place right now because there's an episode where like a very logical person enters the good place and she's like, well, no, neurologically, blah, 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 blah. And I
Yeah.
was and right before you said like, oh yeah, like some people would say like it's subconscious, like some people would say and they would go on tangents about that. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
just leave me alone.
Yeah. It's not that serious.
Yes.
Just like
Yeah.
enjoy yourself. What's that thing? Let people have fun.
Yeah.
Let people enjoy themselves.
And I do believe that with superstitions, whether it's like the evil eye or walking underneath
Yeah.
a ladder or anything like that, it's only gonna have as much power as you give it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why, like again, I'm not somebody who really believes in like the split the pole superstition, but because my friends do, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Yeah. But the knock on wood, because we don't want to bring in any bad anything bad. I believe in that one. The sleep paralysis, yes, because you know what? I haven't had sleep paralysis since then.
Since you were sleeping like a dead person.
I don't
You
know.
know what's crazy? The one time in my entire life that I've ever had sleep paralysis, I was, I guess, also sleeping like a dead person. I was on like a artist like retreat in Michigan, and I was sleeping on my back because the bed was super freaking uncomfortable, and that was the only way I could fall asleep. And I remember laying on the bed and then looking up at the ceiling and like terrible sleep paralysis. It was scary, but I was laying on my back. And I was
There we
in
go.
like the oldest building on the
Yeah.
like property or whatever. I went and I told the other like artist that I was like working with, and she's like also superstitious, and she was like, "We need to sage your room or something."
Something. See, bad energy is bad. Mm-mm.
But yeah, because I usually sleep on my sides.
Yeah.
So I think that was like the one time that I was like, I'm gonna sleep on my back.
Back. No. And you know what? Medical professionals try to tell you, like, oh, no, not, I don't know what they are. But people try to tell you, like, hey, it's better for you to sleep on your back, like, breathing wise, because, like, your lungs or whatever. There's little clips on TikTok. Don't be calling them medical professional. My bad.
They just bought like a white coat off of Amazon.
But they do say that.
Oh my god.
But I feel like I'm not someone who goes, like, super into, like, the superstitions. At work, they're always talking about, like, the moon water and all that stuff.
Moon water.
Yeah. People
Like
are,
full moon water?
yeah, full moon
Oh.
water. Yeah, yeah.
Like charging your crystals?
Yeah, yeah. So there are some people who are like into like that whole like all that stuff, right? And then we'll talk about it, and then every now and then I'll mention to my supervisor like some of like the superstitious stuff that like I do believe in. Um, and then she's always like, "But you don't believe in moon water?" And I'm like, "Leave me alone." I'm like, "There's a spectrum."
I think there is. And I think like there's like old wives' tales that you get from like older generations and maybe have a little bit to do with like religion and like stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah,
And then you have like astrology and like witchy stuff,
yeah.
which also has to do with like religion too, but in a different way.
Way.
So yeah.
One of the religious superstitious things that I do, I am not the biggest believer, but
Mhm.
I grew up seeing people pray when you get in the car. I pray when I
Yeah.
get in the car.
Yeah. I need to start doing that again. Because well, maybe I don't do it because I don't drive. But my grandpa, before he gets in the car, he always does his little.
Hmm.
So yeah,
I always do that,
and
and
he used to always make us do it too.
yeah, you have to do it for everybody that's in the car.
Yeah.
Ask the driver, yes, get on the highway, do it again. Um, and then I've always had a rosary in my car too. One time I did have a rosary in my car, and I got rear-ended that day, and I was like, I didn't pray, and I didn't have a rosary.
You didn't do what you were supposed to do.
Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm.
That's like my mom. She has like a little guardian angel
Mm-hmm.
pin in her car,
Yeah,
and every time, like even if she like has a rental car, she'll take it out of that car and put it
put
in the
in
new
the
one.
gotta follow her.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's just cool, and I really enjoyed seeing what you believe in, what you hold to be true.
yeah,
Um, I'm excited. It's good. It's good.
yeah. We talk a little bit about this in the past in our old podcast. That's still on our channel. So if you want to see some of the stuff that we talked about then in comparison to
Yeah.
now, but this is definitely a more in-depth like look at like our
Mm.
superstitions
In our
and what we
beliefs.
believe.
Yeah.
So it's cool.